My name's Sarah. I'm from Kingston, Ontario. We're filming at our family cottage on beautiful Wolf Island. I'm 42. I'm married. I have 2 kids. And I work in the environmental field, so being outside and protecting the environment, making it sustainable for future generations is very important to me, specifically water and drinking water. This way? Yeah. My parents were exposed to chemicals in where they grew up when they were in 30s and 40s in their drinking water. So drinking water I find very special and dear to my heart, and to make sure everybody has access to safe and reliable drinking water. My cancer journey started when I was about 27. My dad's colon cancer came back and my mother's breast cancer came back at the same time. So I talked to my family doctor, and she suggested that I go see a genetics counselor to determine my cancer risk. Took a couple months to get in. My mother came with me. She was a retired nurse. We sat with the genetics counselor for maybe a couple hours, and we went through everybody in my family that had cancer, what type of cancer, how old were they, if they've passed away or not. So at that time, I was 27. I had 1 child so far, 1 daughter. They decided that when I turned 30, that I would be entered into the high-risk breast cancer screening program, which would be an MRI and a mammogram 6 months apart, forever. Once I turned 30, happy birthday to me, I started my journey of scans and MRIs and mammograms. And it went okay for the first couple of years. Nothing remarkable on my scans. Then when I had my second daughter, my father's cancer unfortunately came back. And so he was going through radiation and chemos, and the colon cancer went to his brain. So he passed away in 2015. My mom's cancer at that time, she went for a double mastectomy. Well, she first had a mastectomy early 90s. They took everything, right? Concaved her chest, took out her nodes there. So she was healthy and recovering, and a thriver is, I guess, what we call them, survivor. So then when my dad passed away, I think it was not long after I was in the MRI machine, I was just at that waiting room with my father. And then I was like, well, now it's my turn. And then I just realized that it's not a if I was going to get a cancer, it was a when. And then they came back with the results, that they were inconclusive, that there was an abnormal growth in one of my breasts, and that they wanted to ultrasound it. So I said, okay, let's ultrasound it. Then they said, well, it's still inconclusive, let's biopsy it. And waiting for those results was just horrendous. So I waited anyways. They came back non-cancerous. And then the next 6 months, they said, well, it seems to be still there, the irregular, let's ultrasound it. Got an ultrasound. And they said, oh, well, we think we should biopsy it again. And at that point, I was just, no. I was like, I'm done. What are my other choices? And my choices were pretty much a double mastectomy. And at this time, when I was doing this, the nurses were all really excited. They said, well, just wait a couple more months. There's a doctor from Toronto who specializes in breast reconstruction. And they were just talking the world about this doctor. And I said, okay, great. I said, what's the doctor's name? And they said, Dr. Martu.
Hello, my name is Dr. Gulcaria Martu. I'm one of the breast reconstruction surgeons here at Kingston Health Sciences Center. I've been in Kingston since 2016. I was hired actually to start a breast reconstruction program, and it's been a wonderful experience the last 8 years. We've grown gradually, and I think we've made big steps in providing what we call comprehensive breast cancer care, so that patients have access to care at home, both for any type of reconstruction. And we worked hard to get resources to try to care for not only patients with breast cancer, but patients who are at high risk for developing breast cancer.
So I said, okay, I'll wait for Dr. Martu to see. And I already had, remove my breasts. Who cares? Let's initiate this war on cancer. Let's not wait till cancer strikes me first. I'm done. I want to enjoy my life, and I want to not have this worry in my head. Then a couple months later, I had my appointment with Dr. Martu, and she says, I qualified for a double mastectomy, skin-saving, nipple-sparing, bilateral, prophylactic mastectomy with reconstruction. So I got to keep everything. So they just were going to scoop out the ducts and the fat and reconstruct a breast using my own tissue if I had enough, or implants. So I thought about it with my husband, and I said, yes, this sounds like the perfect fit for me. So my journey for my surgery took quite a while. But on August 14th, my grandmother's birthday, who also lost her life to breast cancer, I got my double mastectomy and reconstruction done 2017. And with Dr. Martu and doing a fabulous job and being a fabulous surgeon, she asked me to be part of Breast Reconstruction Awareness Day that she started up a couple years ago to bring awareness of the options for ladies that have breast cancer and had mastectomies or lumpectomies.
I know many of you are looking forward to this evening, to connect, to meet, to talk, and share experiences. So we'll go ahead and start. We have a very special night organized for you.
Today is about breast reconstruction awareness. What we're trying to do is empower women and help them advocate for themselves. This isn't for everyone. We don't mean to hold these evenings to encourage it for everyone to have, but we want to make sure women are aware of their options so they can make informed decisions.
So the one year I saw the local dragon boat team with breast cancer, the local breast cancer dragon boat team, they had a booth. And absolutely, they said that I could go and I could participate in their dragon boat team. They practice twice a week at Collins Bay Marina on Lake Ontario. And I was so excited. When I first met them, it was the fall of 2019. And we all know what happened. March 2020, shutdown, global pandemic. So it wasn't until late August in 2020 that I got to participate and get into the boat after we followed all the protocols for COVID.
My name is Sarah Emery, and I'm the coach of Chessmates Kingston. What makes up a good team? A dragon boat team? People who are enthusiastic, people who are willing to get fit, because some folks come into the boat and they're not fit and they're scared. So as long as they're willing to give it out, give a try, give their all, get fit, have fun, be courageous, and then the hardest part is getting together, right? As a team, being together as one team.
I remember getting in the boat and I remember sitting there and I do kayak. I kayak out here. I love kayaking. I love being on the water. I love to get to work out, get my heart beat up. It brings me great joy. So I thought, this is great. This is everything that I love. These girls were very welcoming, and so I got in the boat. So my first practice, I was clanging paddles all over the place. And I got off the boat, and Coach Sarah said, so what'd you think? And I said, well, it's a lot of work. She says, well, it'll really benefit you. It's a lot of work, but it will pay off. She says, are you going to come back? And I said, absolutely. And she gave me a high five. And she said I was a strong, valuable member of this team.
Some of our paddlers are still fighting, right? And for them, I see it in their bodies, I see it in their stroke, I see it in their effort, and sometimes it lags, and sometimes they have to stop paddling. And I see the influence of that for the rest of the crew. And all I want that crew to do is pick up their challenge and paddle harder, paddle with more power, paddle with more dedication, paddle with more influence, and keep on going. If our team can do that, if our crew can do that, then none of us lose, even though some of us are losing.
So just as before we did the International Vancouver Dragon Boat Festival, Christine's breast cancer was terminal and is returned and stage 4. So we knew this was going to be our last festival with her.
All right, chestnuts! Woo!
But she was so strong. Boy, could she reach. Oh, I always tried to match her reach. And so when Christine got too sick to paddle, we had a new mate come, and her name is Sarah. And so this made 3 Sarahs on the boat. And so I think I was about 2 years in or 3 years in, and she had breast cancer during the pandemic. She just had a little boy, so she was young. I think she was early 40s, and had her surgeries and was ready to be active and to be supportive on this team.
So I sit in the engine room, usually in seat 4. I was diagnosed with breast cancer in December 2020, and my treatment started in January 2021 and lasted about a year. I joined the Chessmates Dragon Boat team about a year later, just for the support and community. This past year, I didn't get to sit with Sarah because our team started enforcing the rule that Previvors couldn't paddle with breast cancer survivors.
Two years ago, they said the next international dragon boat competition was going to be in France. And so the International Breast Cancer Paddling Commission set out their requirements on who can paddle and who can compete, and documentation provided. So I was taken aside by my captains at the time and said that based on the documentation that I would not be able to compete in France or compete in any other local festivals that had the International Breast Cancer Paddling Commission endorsement. What we classify Previvors is somebody that has high risk to breast cancer, diagnosed by a genetics counselor, has had a lumpectomy, prophylactic lumpectomy, or the genetics markers for breast cancer. We have 3 Previvors on my local team. So this past year, we did not compete in the breast cancer survivor races. We only competed in the local community races, which was very devastating for me.
I don't know if you know much about how I got here. So when I was in high school, my mom was 45. She was diagnosed with breast cancer and had a single mastectomy. And then it was suggested to us that my sister and I both get tested. So my sister I'm 53, my sister's almost 57. And a year ago, that's when we were getting our genetic testing done. Yeah. And so my sister contracted the CHEK2 variation from my mom, and I got both, BRCA and CHEK. So at first they said, what do you want to do about that? And I had already started thinking about it, and for me, I didn't have any interest in being on the high-risk screening. Mm-hmm. I felt like a ticking time bomb. Mm-hmm. I felt like I was just waiting for cancer to get me.
There's the women that come very ready and very prepared to have this done. They see it as treatment because, when you have a high risk of developing this type of disease. I mean, I'm a woman myself, and I can tell you every time I have a mammogram and it's normal, it's like, oh my God, I can breathe for another year. And I totally sympathize with women when they tell me, oh my God, I've had a diagnosis or I have the gene. I just don't want to have to worry about this every year. I have young children. So there's the ones that come and they're very prepared. They just see it as treatment and they want to proceed. They want to know, of course, the details. And it's a bit, can I call it, easier when you don't have to worry about getting radiation and chemotherapy. Of course, we test the tissue, but in most of these cases, women do not have actual disease, but they're treating the high risk they have. And to me, that's almost equivalent to treating disease.
Like, it's inevitable that I'm going to end up with cancer, so let's just eliminate that. So that was in July of last year. September 21st of last year, I had the bilateral salpingo oophorectomy, which is both fallopian tubes, both ovaries. Usually I just say partial hysterectomy because it's easier to understand. Yeah. 11 days after that, I had my double mastectomy. Wow. And how'd you find the team? The team I have always sort of known about, but I didn't realize it was associated with any breast cancer or BCAK. One of the paddlers, we were colleagues, and I knew she paddled. I didn't really know why. I thought it was just something she did for recreation. She said to message another one of our paddlers, and that lady said to get in touch with whoever was in charge of the Facebook page. Turned out to be you. So I messaged you, and because I wasn't sure. Yeah. So within days, I was hooked up with Lori, and I was coming down to BCAK and did a little dry land training and got into the boat for the first session of the season.
Next two join in.
When I joined, I didn't know that there were any governing rules around who could paddle when and where and who couldn't paddle when and where. Yeah. And I don't think it was until our first festival in Peterborough was the first one, that I was maybe just talking to people about, oh, are you going? And they said, are you going? And I said, oh yeah. And someone said, wait a minute, you haven't had breast cancer, have you? And I said, no, I'm a Previvor. And they said, oh, I don't think you're allowed to paddle at this race. And at that time, I didn't know you were a Previvor. I didn't know if there were other Previvors or if I was the only one. Someone eventually let me know that there are 2 more of us, you and our friend Lillian. But we went to Peterborough anyway to support our team. And it's hard sometimes as a grown adult to sit with those feelings, feeling like somebody being excluded. This team didn't do that. It's the governing bodies that say that we can't paddle. And I know I haven't had cancer. I know I haven't technically faced death direct on. I have absolutely feared cancer.
it made me feel not a part of the team. That cancer hasn't affected me. The cancer hasn't scarred me. My dad had colon cancer and prostate cancer. It reoccurred in his middle 50s. He passed away. Middle 60s. My mom had breast cancer when she was about 49. And then she had cancer again in her middle 50s. Both breasts were removed. My grandmother died of breast cancer on my dad's side. My uncle died of testicular cancer. My great uncle died of prostate cancer. 2 uncles on my mother's side have cancer. My sister-in-law just got diagnosed with triple negative cancer. So she can be on our track and boat team. I thought about it for a while. I wanted to quit so many times. But no, I was like, this is my tribe. These ladies, the stories they tell me are so aligned with me. But just maybe because I haven't actually been diagnosed with cancers or I haven't gone through chemo. But I've gone through the surgeries. I've gone through the recoveries with myself and with my parents. I know exactly how they feel. And I feel it brings such strength to the team and endurance and positivity and perseverance. That if I can help these ladies cross this finish line, that I am a valued member of this team.
How many minutes? How many minutes?
Because they give me strength and I give them strength. And we fight this dragon, this cancer dragon, together. So by them just leaving me on the dock, literally leaving me on the dock at these festivals, I can't contribute to that team.
I was really surprised because I would never think. We're all about inclusion nowadays, of course, and we should be. It shouldn't be just the current theme of society. Inclusion is one of the most important aspects of our society. It shows respect to all aspects of journeys and backgrounds for everything. It does not make sense to me. I don't know how they would be affected or limited in any way. If anything, they're broadened the number of people that get affiliated with them. So to me, like I said before, whether you have a diagnosis of cancer or a high risk of developing for whatever that is, really a gene, or then I think it's very important that everyone gets included.
What do you think about Previvors on a breast cancer Dragon Boat team?
Come on! I want you on our team, right? Because they found it before it got them, right? They did everything to make sure that it didn't get them, right? Hysterectomy, double mastectomy, sterilization almost to the point, right? And, and bone density issues, all kinds of stuff, scars, wounds, sadness, fears, all that. And that's what I face as a breast cancer survivor. So I got the same language, I got the same paddle as Previvors. Come on in and paddle.
Sarah and I both watched our moms be diagnosed with breast cancer and go through treatment. We were both young moms, worried about our kids, leaving our kids with no mom. And even though Sarah didn't experience chemotherapy and radiation like I did, we all need each other. We all need our unique perspectives, and we all need to be in that boat paddling together.
So then it was about springtime, and I said, this festival season, we'll get some footage, we'll get some interviews, and maybe I'll start a petition, and we could see if we can add Previvors to the breast cancer Dragon Boat community to be able to compete and help race. So we started on the journey this year. talk to me about breast cancer. I'm what you call a previvor. I had a double mastectomy about 5 to 6 years ago. I had a high-risk breast cancer diagnosis, and I'm petitioning the International Breast Cancer Paddling Commission to allow previvors to paddle with them. I'm asking for 20% of the boat can be previvors, high-risk breast cancer survivors. Would you guys like to sign my petition? It's free. Yes? Yeah. I'll give you a nice one. What I'm asking is not to let the whole boat be previvors, but at least 20% of us can be in the boat and allowed to compete at these festivals, allowed to help our sisters get across the finish line with strength and power. I know I'm not alone. I know I'm not the only previvor out there. I know each team is getting more and more of them. And I know as preventative measures and early detection of breast cancer and all the other cancers are getting detected earlier, that this isn't just a one-off. This is a new trend that we're seeing. So I just wanted to make a stand and to bring awareness to the previvors that we have a journey too, that we have been scarred physically and emotionally with breast cancer or cancer in general, and that we should be included in the festivals. We should be included in the teams. We should be included in the boats, and we should not be left on the docks.
This disease is a spectrum, all the way from previvor to stage 4 metastatic disease. And we all need each other. We all need our unique perspectives, and we all need to be in that boat paddling together.